when I play a character, it's not necessarily about me. Like I put like a piece of myself in the character, but it's not like really me. So I guess it's like part of my persona.
I do project myself onto the protagonist as far as the series goes.
Usually I am playing as me, and then the main character is sort of like their own entity. Like I'll say like, oh, the main character is this, but usually since I'm the one who's actually like enacting all of this, it's usually me doing things instead of the character doing these things.
I fully insert myself into the role and like feel it 100%.
Because even though it gives you the option to make somebody else, like there's a character creation screen, I almost always make myself.
I like completely put myself in that space of I'm the protagonist, this is me, and I'm doing all of these things. And it's always a version of myself rather than being somebody else or being a character.
I don't know. I've never really truly identified with a particular character. I always put a little bit of myself into it, but that's generally about it for me. I don't know. Maybe it's like putting on another mask or something.
The first playthrough, I tend to make characters that look like me.
I don't usually imagine it as Link doing these things. I usually imagine it as I am doing these things.
The character design that I did her as like a female with a shaved head, and also then she meets Jack later on, who's also just this badass female person with like a shaved head too. It made me shave my head for the first time. So definitely feel through the character.
I guess it's stuff that I wouldn't do in real life, and I don't have the opportunity to meet like people like this, like the characters, and I wouldn't farm in real life, so I guess this is like an extension of myself.
In a lot of the video games that I've played, I've taken on that role pretty seriously and ran, I told you I play like 200 hours in each character that I play with like Dragon Age.
Right.
And I have like an intense kind of emotional connection to those games for being put in that role, and I feel like I am that role whenever I'm playing it.
Mm-hmm. I think that maybe what happens is every person puts their personality into the game. And so like maybe in a sense, this is like my own personality, the way I do it. Maybe it's like a connection thing that I'm not quite getting, or maybe it's like, I don't know if that even makes any sense. It's like, because like for you, I feel like you're very outgoing, and this is who I am, kind of, like, hey, but for me, it's like, I'm kind of like, I don't know, or kind of, switching between what I need to do. It's like chameleon kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And maybe like that kind of translates over when I play video games. So I don't know. Everyone else might be different than me.
You choose dialogue choices according to what you want and how you want things to go.
But yeah, like even if I make my own characters, sometimes I'll like imagine them as their own character. But usually I'm the one who is completing the action.
As far as like choices go, I never mean, because I just want to be as good as possible, and it hurts my feelings to see other characters think that I'm mean. So I guess really good.
Me getting involved with my games does fall into my actual real life, because I really like Ren Fair, and I'm a part of the SCA, the Society for Creative Anachronisms, where it's the arts and sciences of pre-16th century, like Europe and stuff.
I get so involved in the narrative, and like these are my choices, like this is what I choose to do. So I'm like, okay, well, if somebody else was playing, like that's them, but like that's not the character, if that makes sense.
In the video game, like you can be a total asshole and actually kill the people who you've befriended to trust you through like the whole game. And that's made me actually really upset and angry at people, that they would like hurt my friends. Like I feel like they are my friends. And this game definitely was for me in like a really hard time. And these were people that I could like, not real people, but these are people I could like talk to. I definitely felt like I was in Shepherd. I felt things through them, and people just murder them. and don't care. So that's definitely made me like really angry and like yell at people in the Mass Effect chat.
Like be in a situation where they want me to choose between two things and I'm just like, this one's wrong for like moral reasons that I believe in, so I'm choosing this other option. I don't usually think about if my character has different moral obligations than I do.
Like, for me, I feel like I get into the skill sets, possibly. Like, in real life, I like to... It sounds like you're very religious in a sense, and at one point in my life, I was religious, and I feel like what's happened is, like, you've gotten to where it's like you're kind of like, I guess maybe projecting those personality traits or like some sort of like love for that maybe into the video game slightly. And for me, it's like, I don't know if I've lost that or I had it and then I don't have it anymore, the religion aspect. But like I've never really put that sort of like admiration into a game or saw myself or identified, I guess, I suppose.
In Deus Ex, Mankind Divided, I had to make a choice whether to prevent this woman from getting deported or help this guy and his daughter's family from getting deported as well. And I could not go back on my save file because with games with multiple choices, I tend to have multiple save files so I can do each one. But no, in that moment I had to choose, and I chose the guy and his daughter, and I felt really bad because when I went back to the woman's like home, like I think after the next mission she was gone, and I was like, oh, she really got deported, and it's my fault.
But I think there's something like in video games where you like push through like hardships. Like sometimes they kind of come off really cheesy and boring, and sometimes if they're written really well, like it's really meaningful. Like in Okami, you lose a lot before you actually gain anything, or that the character gains from going through all of this. It's just to like put them through a lot of difficult things just for the sake of like hurting them and being difficult. I think because I tend to project on characters sometimes, I don't really like that because then I feel like I'm like the one who's actually being hurt.
That Morden, another friend who you can talk to, and he like sings songs for you, and you can have all kinds of different dialogue for him if you just, befriend him. Or anyway, he made a disease that killed a whole race of your other friends, and he decides to do it and died. He like fixes it and he dies, and he said, I had to do it. Somebody else might have gotten it wrong. And it just like devastated me. Like kind of hilariously, my sister dragged me to our cousin's, like, what do they call it? Oh God, it's where all the bridesmaids are together, bachelorette party. She drugged me to that, and it was actually like a Chip and Dale dancer thing. And these guys are just like dancing around, and I'm just like depressed because I've just went through both of these video games death. And I even take my sister, and I'm like, I try to explain to her what happened, and I'm just like sobbing in the hotel room because I'm just devastated by these deaths. And it's like this huge party, like real life parties going around, but like my heart was in this video game.
Honestly, I feel like I don't really like it. It's kind of a part of my life. Like I use it to like get closer to people, and like I don't feel like that connection. If somebody like doesn't know this game or like this experience in a video game, I'm like, oh well, I don't really know how to convey like this emotion to you. And like there's such a like family feeling with like people who are in the same like community. I don't know how to explain it. It's like there's something like deeper that you can't really like say, that even though you've all experienced it at different times, it's this one thing that you can kind of agree on that you've done together.
Spent $100 on encyclopedias alone, $50 in books, over $150 just on one of the games. Also, the encyclopedia has a cookbook that I've been cooking out of it for a while. They have all kinds of different cultural dishes from the game, and I cook a lot of it. Oh, I legitimately fell in love with a game script and got her name tattooed on my chest over here.
You should have showed it off, like stood up
Yeah,
on
you
I
your
kind of
stool.
want to,
Wanna get a
but
shot
Do
of that?
it.
Yeah, do it.
okay. Can you see it?
Yep. Poke it.
Poke it?
I don't know. When I was like looking at like the Aurora Borealis in Oblivion or in Skyrim, it's just like one of those moments, you know, when you look at a sunset or you go to a national park or you see something that's just like beautiful and like breathtaking. It's like I didn't realize that you could find that experience in like a virtual reality, I guess. And I found that and I was like, whoa, this is awesome, because I feel like this couldn't exist in real life. Like it wouldn't, because there isn't, like, if you think about it, an Aurora Borealis and just a regular area. So I thought that that was really neat. And I don't know, I thought about like the more technical sides of things, I guess. I don't know, it didn't like move me to do anything like, anything like life-changing, I guess, but it was a really nice like realization. It's like I kept going back because it was beautiful, I guess. So it was a great escape, I guess, from reality. I don't know.
The same game actually has a lot of scenarios like that where you have to choose and you can't go back and do all of the optional tasks. Like I had to choose between either breaking into a high security corporation to find a cure for a virus or take down a terrorist. And I decided to take down the terrorist. And it turns out that in the game, my boss had said virus and he died in my arms.
Oh my god.
You work so hard as this person trying to help out this character, and in the end, she still ends up back where she began. Afterwards, you don't feel like the same person. Like, not fundamentally changed, but definitely there's something that you kind of learned that kind of changes, like, how you do things, I guess.
There's this character that is homeless, and so you go throughout like your whole journey in the game by like giving people gifts and talking to them. You'll like gain friendship with them, and like he'll tell you about how like a lot of the villagers will like throw things at him or like call him names and stuff, and like over time he like gains your trust, and like honestly sometimes it makes me want to cry, but about how sorry, like, so it's kind of like annoying because you know the people in the village and you kind of want to be like, who is doing this to you? Like, I know all of these people and like no one should treat you that way. So like even in a new save file, when I see him, I'll always like give him a present or like something. And in one of his hard events, he's like, I thought you would be like everybody else, but that like I've learned to trust you, and like you're honestly one of my best friends. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I'll cherish you like forever. Yeah.
I managed to get into the Citadel, which it's the end of the game and it has sort of mobilized to, wait, I don't even know what it's going to do. And I come in and there's all these bodies everywhere, and I'm just, I've been beamed up in here, I'm beaten up, and I find the person who has been a dad to me this whole game. His name's Anderson, and honestly, I even made a post about him on Father's Day because he's been more of a dad to me in a video game. And I deactivate the button that's gonna actually like kill everyone on Earth, and I'm like sitting down because I've been shot and I know I'm bleeding out, I know I'm dying, and I know he's dying. And he says to me that he wishes that I could have children. And I tell him, that's not the life for us. And he says that I'm proud of you. And that was actually like another time I just started bawling because it's just so emotionally impactful that like all these games I've worked up to get here, all these missions, all these people I've cared about, this character that is me, and we're gonna die together, and that's it.
No, not really. I think that's something that it's not necessarily I keep a secret, but I pick it up in the time and I kind of do it, and then like once I'm done with the video game, I'm kind of done. I don't really collect anything or dress certain ways or have like background pictures or do drawings or anything. It's been kind of separate for me. So it's like I identify with it, but it doesn't, I guess maybe not enough, I suppose. So I don't know.